And people don't talk a lot about that whole rejection, even when it comes to applying for jobs. I remember when I was young, I used to hand out so many CVs, didn't get the job. People don't talk about that kickback, constantly trying to make something work and it doesn't happen. One day there needs to be a story about, even footballers and musicians who, when they were maybe 16. So I've got a friend who's got a son who lives in America, who basically was on the verge of becoming a basketball player, and he didn't make it, as in it didn't work out for him, and he's in a position now where he's almost lost his identity because all he ever thought he was going to be was a basketball player. Some of us, for instance, I thought I was going to be a footballer, and I can talk about me personally, and when I got injured, and it wasn't going to happen, I stopped watching football.
Yeah,
I couldn't watch football anymore. It made me sad and upset. I'm looking at a screen saying that I should be there. And people don't talk about that trauma of when you think you're going to be something and all your identity is based around it. It doesn't happen. And it's hard, especially when growing up you feel that the only way out is that. Some of us felt the only way out was football or basketball or being a rapper.
A lot of the time that's what's pushed you though. That's what you see. Because you don't see about, like, for example, I don't know, you see everyone that does the cliche stuff, so like doctor, engineer, but you don't see like project management was something I didn't know about. But then, like I said, with Ken and his drug company, you'll have a cleaning company, you can make money doing anything. Absolutely anything.
But once again, representation. You see, representation, that's why I make a point of trying to do as many videos as possible. Not saying that I'm not a role model, but I want these young boys to see that, there is another way. There is someone out there who looks just like me, who's come from where I've come from, who is doing this. And that's why I implore that all of you guys who are entrepreneurs, all of you guys who are working in 9 to 5, who are in STEM jobs, STEM fields, all of you guys who are doing something for yourself. I know you don't want to put yourself out there, but stop. All you people that gatekeep, stop gatekeeping. Like, it's very important that you open the same door that was open for you. Let other people through. It's so important to give as much information as possible to the younger lot so that they can figure it out. And that's why, with all you guys who are selling courses, please make sure you're not gatekeeping while you're selling these courses. Open the door for people so that they can step through. It's so important that, I try as much to mentor as much people as I can, to give them a helping hand, to say, look, this is the way you can do it. Because without these doors opening, representation is everything. That's why I say that when I go to Atlanta, it's so refreshing because there are so many black people in positions of power. It's like a black mecca. When you get through the airport, it's full of black people. You go into these shops full of black people. Most of these restaurants, black owned. And it's so encouraging because when you see someone like yourself doing something, it encourages you to, like, hold on a minute. If Oladapo, if Kunle Benji can do this, I can too. But growing up, I didn't see black doctors. I didn't see many black restaurant owners. When I opened a restaurant in Birmingham, the amount of ones that opened off the back of mine opening it, because people were like, hold on, this black boy from London has come here and he's opened the restaurant and people are coming to it. What? Yes, you can do it. You might not do it as good as I did, but you can do it. And my only thing right now is you can do it. Find the lane or angle that you are good in and do it.
Why did you choose hospitality and restaurants and stuff? What made you...
Because generally speaking, people like me. I'm a likable person, generally speaking. Sometimes I rub people up the wrong way, but I can bring people together. And see, with business, your business is nothing about marketing. If you know how to get people together, be the middleman. There's money in being the middleman. Tag Venue do not own the venues that they market. They're making money. Shubs.com does not own the events that it puts on there, nor does Ticketmaster. Booking.com does not own the hotels. A mortgage broker does not own the mortgage companies. He's the middleman between the client and the person that wants the money. He gets his 1%, 2% fee. In this life, I'm not going to sit here and say you don't need money to make money. You do need some form of money to make money. Like when people say, oh, you don't need money to buy a property. You're going to have to pay the solicitor fees. You're going to have to pay the mortgage. You need to pay something. But the moment you can create a network, attention is currency. I repeat, attention. People are on social media right now trying to garner attention to do what? Make money. If I've got 10,000, 20,000 followers and I've got good engagement, I can sell my space to somebody to advertise. Attention, whether you like it or not, is money. You can have a car and try and sell it. If you keep it inside your garage, no one's going to buy it. Attention right now is currency. And if you can garner attention and you say, oh, why is that hospitality? I went into there because I used to do events. So I started tweeting, doing blogs, and I got attention from people. And I said, wow, I've got a lot of followers here. Let me put on an event and see people come. They came. I said, well, let me do another event. They came. So let me write a book. I wrote a book, they bought it. I said, oh,
You wrote a book?
I wrote a book. Yeah.
What's the book called?
I'm not going to say.
No, what's the whole
But it was in
reading?
Waterstones.
It's
On
in
Amazon
Waterstones?
and that. Yeah, but
Yeah, your name?
I wrote a book in 2012.
Is it Game of
I'm not
Thrones?
saying anything.
Is it Game of
I'm not
Thrones?
saying
Is it
anything. Those who know me from back in the day know I wrote a
Is it on
book.
Amazon?
I wrote a book.
No way.
I swear down.
Oh,
And
what?
I'm not saying it. But those who know me 12 years ago know I wrote a book. Like, I used to do events. Like, a lot of the stuff that, and I don't say this to brag,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff that's happening now, I've done this years ago, but I didn't continue.
Yeah.
So remember, like, the whole On Topic radio show. So when you talk about doing debating nights, I did that years ago. I did nights where men and women came and they argued. I was probably one of the first to do it on a bigger scale. I did it. You talk about doing dating events. I did that. You talk about blogging. I did that. Writing a book. I did that. A radio show. I used to have one on Twitter. It used to trend in the UK every Sunday. On topic talk show. I started it with Keith, and then Keith went to Australia. Then I carried it on with Marvin. So all of this kind of podcast. Oh, I've done it years ago. I didn't continue, or maybe I started too early. When it comes to web series, Dirty Games Men Play, I did that years ago, but I didn't carry on. So I've done a lot of stuff. I've tried. I put my hands in everything. I've tried everything. I'm a trier, and no one can ever say I've not tried. I like to say I've done it pretty well, unto the point where there's a method to the madness where I finally got to where I'm at now, and I'm settled a bit. I'm not perfect at business. I still make mistakes, but I always like to learn and grow. Like, I'm always going to diversify. I'm always going to try, and I've always tried to bring people in. And I think that is the key, is that I'm never greedy. And too many people have got main character syndrome. They'd rather there could be a business that they can start with somebody else, but they don't want to do it because they're not the main character. They'd rather have 100% of nothing than 50% of something. And sometimes you've got to give things away. And I was researching the other day, with Apple, apparently Steve Jobs only earned it was a small percentage that he earned of Apple. Let me even Google it now, what his share in Apple was. It was so small. Let me find it now. Steve Jobs Apple share. So Jobs owned 11% of Apple when the company went public in 1980. And I think when he passed away, it was something small that he owned. Remember that was only 10%. But that 10% is huge for what that 10% of what it actually is. But too many people want to do shoulders and chest. Instead of giving away a smaller part of your business so that it can grow, they're like, oh man, my man's gonna start making money too. I don't want to go in business with you. You might start getting gal.
So to wrap up there, so let's try and make it something actionable.
Mm-hmm.
So then go back to the initial point, the guy with the 4K and trying to get a car. How can he leverage group economics at his age, at his level, to then make money? What can he get involved in? So let's say he's got two other brethren, they got 4, so they got 12K now between the three of them, and they're all gonna own 33.33% of the business. What business should they get involved in?
I think if you're talking about someone now, 2021, who is 20 or 21 years of age, should I say, I'd say you need to look at your skills, look at what you're good at, because everyone's got different skills. If you're a person that's good at bringing people together, or you've got a network on the internet, I would say you've got to find a way of marketing something, and if you've got a skill of gaining attention, that is money. Like, attention is money. If you've got 50,000 followers and you've got good engagement, you've got to figure out what these people are following you for and market yourself or product to that environment.